The group of thoughts changed again in the big philosophy. Later there was a change in the thinking of the Puranic age. Secondly, the ancient Upanishads, Laukikas developed as literary words and a particular theory developed based on them. I can call it Brahmanism. So we can separate the Upanishads of the Vedic age by these signs. First, we can separate those Upanishads whose thoughts are not in line with the ancient Upanishads. Secondly, we can accept the Upanishads of the Vedic age which are found to be closely related to the Vedas. 4 philosophical schools of thought can be traced chronologically in Indian philosophical discourse. First we find the earliest status in the Samhita section in the works of the Vedas. At that time various natural forces were worshipped by calling them in sacrifices. This ritual of worship is inspired by a purely practical need. Prayers were offered in this worship for protection from enemies, relief from danger and for the wearing of aspiration. Prasthi was also dedicated to the gods. Even in the Vedas there is a tendency toward knowledge towards the end. In the Rigveda, especially in the 10th mandal, there are many suttas where various philosophical questions have been raised. The thought that originated here developed in the Upanishads associated with the various Vedas. Here the inquisitive attitude of the poet becomes dominant. Rising above practical needs, he became anxious to gain the identity of the world assembly. We can call the philosophy that arose out of this inquiry as pantheism or Brahmanism. This philosophy says that all people, all creatures, all things are surrounded by one great power, pervading everything and controlling them from the hidden. In this way we find a detailed questioning perspective in the theory developed in the ancient Upanishads. The next question of our country's philosophical thought is a modified form of gesture. Here too, the question, the vision is active, but the motivation comes in a different way. Here motivation comes from practical needs. In this era, karma theory and its associated postnatalism became a radical reformation. Along with this the idea has developed that the earthly life is not for love, but for sorrow. As a result, Masti's desire to be born has become his. Nan Marga is adopted as the dead means. This is true of Hindu and Shad philosophies as well as of Buddhist and Jain philosophies. Buddhist and Jain philosophies also sought salvation from rebirth and developed distinct philosophies to explain it. However, in both cases a practice without philosophy is preached. Bhagavan or Arya introduced Ashtangika Magga. Similarly in Jainism Samyak Charitra is also recognized as one of the means of salvation. So even in this situation perspective is strong. In the 4th stage, the perspective changes in the Puranic age and comes the perspective of the devotee. Generally speaking, the devotee's vision was not clear in the Jagadarshan. But his preparatory phase was over. Buddhists and Jains are completely silent about the 10 gods. Most philosophies and Gar philosophies are silent about God. Anti-Mimamsa and Uttara Mimamsa are not involved in this question.